Hey guys, welcome to a video from Golden Productions. And today I did want to talk to you guys about my biggest lesson that I learned in backyard wrestling. I'm Noah Golden, welcome to Golden Productions, so let's get into it. The first thing that I did want to tell you is some background. So I was in the BWO, the Backyard Wrestling Organization, for 3.5 years, which is all the time that the BWO operated. It was something that I did in high school, and I did it with a bunch of friends, and I wrestled in so many different places. Like, I've wrestled in a basement, I've wrestled in snow, I've wrestled in front of a crowd. Like, here's some footage of me wrestling in a basement.
Just in time. Oh! A submission! We got the first submission of the what is Lucas gonna do? Oh, first suplex!
Here's some footage of me wrestling in the snow against the Universe.
What is the Universe doing? Oh no! He jumped over the top rope! To a knee. Noah building up momentum. Oh! Oh! Come on! And then charge each other. Slam!
And here's some footage of me wrestling at Glory 3, which actually got a very loud crowd reaction. Watch this.
Now,
in my time of wrestling, I had basically 2 key takeaways that I learned from it that I'm going to take with me for the rest of my life. Second one, of course, is the big life overarching lesson, so stay tuned for that. Without any further ado, let's get into it. The first thing I wanted to mention is that wrestling is fake, but it's an art. Think movies. You hear it a lot, actually. Whenever someone talks about wrestling, the first thing that someone is going to say is the very uncreative line of, "Oh, wrestling is fake." Yeah, so is Star Wars. So is the Hunger Games. Cool, you've proven nothing to me. You've just proven to me that acting and movies are just entertaining. Something that I did want to mention is that while it is fake, that doesn't mean it isn't brutal. It hurts. I have been hurt a lot in wrestling. So one of the biggest times that I could think about is at the Backyard Wrestling Tournament in 2019. Wow, I feel old. It's 3 years ago. I went up against Angel, the Puerto Rican Prince. Hi, Angel, you're the editor. And Kevin Cap. And during this match, it was a triple threat, so no holds barred. Like, there was no disqualification or anything. But it wasn't even that part of the match that got me hurt. It was when Angel was pinning me at one point. Kevin, and you're going to see the clip of it right now, Kevin, as you can see, dolphin dived over Angel and landed square on my nose. Sitting in the basement, and I look like a goddamn warrior because I have blood all over me, all over my shirt. It's just dripping everywhere. And I was bleeding out for such a long time that we had to call the match right then and there. Like, I was just sitting there on the outside of the ring for like a good few minutes, just being like, holy shit, my nose is bleeding and it won't stop. It was gushing. And that's something that I needed to mention, is that while wrestling is quote unquote fake, that doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt. So just remember that. And the other thing about it is that it's a story. It's an art. Wrestling is an art. And just like any art, just like any creative writing, it needs a story to it to keep it going. People who watch wrestling don't watch it to watch people beat each other up. Well, yes, that is a thing that we watch it for. Anything that we watch, we're looking at it for the story. So if you're watching a wrestling match and there's just no story, and this is the biggest problem that I have with backyard wrestling today, is that there is no story to anything that anyone does anymore. Like, most matches that you see at this point is 10 minutes of people beating each other up. There's no intensity. Where's the suspense? Why do I care? Who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? I don't know. And why should I care who's the good guy or the bad guy? You got to establish that. Once you establish these things inside of a match, it gives it a whole new level that makes people really invest in it. A great example I could mention is Daniel Bryan, probably the greatest storyline I think I'll ever see in wrestling ever, was in 2013/2014. The crowd, I don't know what happened, but the crowd picked him up out of nowhere and decided, you know what? This is our guy. So the crowd would chant his name every single event. And everyone thought, oh my God, they're going to give him a shot because we're all chanting for him. But WWE did something else. They took all those crowd chants for Daniel Bryan and they said, yeah, we'll give him a shot. We'll give him a shot. We'll give him a shot. But they screwed him over each and every single time. And it just got the crowd more and more into it. It became Daniel Bryan versus the Authority. And after a while, they even abandoned the storyline at one point. But the crowd would never, ever let it go. So, in 2014, they finally gave him his story, going all the way to WrestleMania, where at WrestleMania, which is essentially the Super Bowl for wrestling, he finally went into WrestleMania and he won the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Yes, that's a mouthful. But it is the greatest storyline I may ever see in my life. Like, literally, if you need to know what kind of emotion that match drew up, you could literally look up Daniel Bryan WrestleMania package. Because you'll see like a quick 3-minute video where they play Monster by Imagine Dragons over his whole story. And you'll understand how crazy of a storyline it was. And you'll never see something like it again. But the reason why it worked so well, the match wasn't the greatest match in the world. Like, that triple threat match wasn't like some spectacular thing. It wasn't Omega versus Okada. But what it was a story. A story that each and every single person in that crowd cared deeply about. And that's why wrestling works, because it has a story to it. So if you're going to write a match in wrestling, and this is for anyone that would like to go into wrestling, just have an idea of who you are as a character and what story you want to write with your match. That's basically it. Now, I'm not saying I'm the greatest wrestler of all time, because by far and away, I was outshined by Mr. Editor himself, the Puerto Rican Prince, all the time. But guess what I did? At Glory 6, we faced off against each other, and I was supposed to be the good guy. But the crowd kept cheering for him. So, at that point in the match, I basically made the decision to become the bad guy. We actually discussed that before the match. We said, all right, listen, if the crowd flips on us, so like the crowd cheers for Angel here instead of me, what we're going to do is we're going to flip. So he'll then become the good guy, I'll become the bad guy, and the crowd will get even more into it. So you got to be able to play the crowd like that. That's what wrestling is all about. It's an art in being able to play off of people's emotions. So when I won, the deep emotions that people felt when Angel was taking off his boots and retiring, it cut very deep because they were cheering for him the whole match. We didn't even write it up to be that way. But it ended up going super well because we knew what to do with the story in that moment. That's the first lesson that I take away. Wrestling is fake, but it's an art. And it hurts. You can't exactly play wrestling when it's so physical. But you also got to remember to write a story. If there's no story to it, there's nothing there. With that, I now need to go into lesson number 2, which is a lesson that I'm going to take with me for the rest of my life. You can't do anything in life if you don't know what you're doing. Now, what do I mean by that? I basically mean, in order to go into an industry, you need to know what makes someone successful in that industry. And I heard a quote, and I think it was from either Jake Paul or Logan Paul, and it's something that I actually agreed with a lot. It was quite scary when I heard it at the time because I was small, but it was something that I heard and I was just like, yeah. No, that's actually a universal thing. They said you can't play boxing. And that's true. You can't go into a boxing match against a professional boxer and expect to win if you don't have any training, and it's not something that you've had some serious dedication to. You can't play boxing. If you go into a boxing match without the proper, like, professional training to go that is required, then you're not going to go anywhere. You're going to get knocked out. You can't play boxing, but you also can't play pretty much anything if you don't know what you're doing. So that applies to wrestling and almost anything in life. Even I was guilty of this. Like, I at one point didn't watch wrestling, and like it was in like 2019, and I just kept putting out crap match after crap match because I didn't know what I was doing. But then in 2021, at the start of the year, I started watching some wrestling again. I sat myself down at the TV and said, hey, I'm going to look at what these people do. And if you look, my matches get so much better at that time. And that's the whole thing. You got to be able to observe the best at what the best in the industry at what they do and understand what makes them so great. Now, I do see this a lot as a story writer in the BWO. I do see it all the time that people walk into the BWO and just sort of expect everything to fall at their feet because they think, oh, it's fake, so that means that they can pretty much put me anywhere and it'll work. It doesn't work like that. Because just like anything else in life, there's skill levels to it. And if you walk into it without a lick of wrestling knowledge, like, if you can't tell me what a DDT is, I cannot at all justify you putting you in any kind of championship role. I'm going to at most put you in a comedy role. And that's the thing. If you got to know what you're doing when you're going into an industry. And so that's something to just remember. You got to know what you're doing. And be creative with it. Make it your own. In fact, there was a quote that I heard. I don't exactly know where it's from, but I heard it. And I was like, that's actually not the worst idea in the world. Here's the quote. In order to be creative, take someone else's work and make it yours. Now, what does that mean? That doesn't mean copy someone. Don't go out and just literally copy a book from someone and publish it as yours. You're going to get sued. But what that basically means is take inspiration off of what other people do. If you see something that you really enjoy, be inspired by that to do something of that yourself with a twist of your own. And that's how you be creative. And if you're able to do that, you're actually, odds are, probably making something new. Listen, if you take something that you saw or read or something and you put your own little spin on it, you've created something new. And that's something that people will be interested in. So just remember that. If there was one takeaway that I wanted people to get, it's pretty much takeaway number 2 here. You can't play whatever it is that you're doing. You got to know fully what you're doing and be really informed on it. And be able to be creative, and you got to be able to be creative. So, take inspiration from what the best of the best do and make it your own. Put your own little twist on it, something that you would enjoy. And if you do that, odds are you've created something brand new and great that you will enjoy. So, with that, I wanted to say thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening to me rant. And I hope you enjoyed all the video clips that you saw sprinkled in here, because there are some good clips in here of me getting beat up and bruised. So, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Share this video with people. Comment down below, of course, because anything. I'll take any comment, suggestion. I'm going to read it, and I'm going to tell you what I think. So, if you have a video idea, post it down below. So, that being said, for the 5th time, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.